Salty the Dockyard Diesel. This is a story about Salty the Dockyard Diesel. He loved working by the sea, so he didn't think he would like it when Sir Topham Hatt sent him to work at the quarry. But it turned out he was very good with the trucks. Salty was a dockyard diesel who loved telling tales about the sea. One day, the Fat Controller asked him to come to the island of Sodor to help finish an important job. Salty was excited about working there because islands are surrounded by water, so he knew he would never be too far from the sea.
"Ahoy there, mateys," said Salty when he arrived at his new job. "I'm here to help you."
"Welcome to the Center Island Quarry," said Mavis.
"A quarry?"
said Salty in surprise.
"But I'm a dockyard diesel. I'm used to working by the sea."
"You're a quarry diesel now," Mavis said. Mavis explained that they had 3 days to complete the Fat Controller's important job. Salty was sad that he wasn't by the sea, but he was a really useful engine, so he got started at once.
"Ah, well," he said, "at least I'll be working with trucks."
"You'd better watch them," said Mavis. "They can be rather tricky." "He won't last 5 minutes," said Bill.
"Yes, the trucks will trip him up soon enough," replied Ben.
But to their surprise, the trucks gave Salty no trouble at all.
"Yo ho ho and a bucket of prawns," Salty sang. "The tiller spins."
"And the captain yawns," sang the trucks. Thanks to Salty, by the end of the day, the job was almost done. Bill and Ben were very surprised and rather jealous of Salty.
"Here comes Mr. Show-Off," Ben said.
"You have to admit he's got a knack with the trucks," said Mavis. "Maybe, but Driver says he'll bore the bolts off us with his stories about the sea," huffed Bill. That night, Salty didn't come into the engine shed. Mavis was worried. She rolled up next to him and asked him what he was doing outside.
"I thought I might catch a little sea breeze,"
said Salty sadly. "You really do miss the sea, don't you?" said Mavis.
"Aye,"
sighed Salty.
"I do."
Salty knew the quarry work was important, so the next day he told Bill and Ben his secret for getting the trucks to behave.
"I like to work in a musical rhythm," he said, "and so do the trucks. Why don't you give it a try, me hearties?"
But Bill and Ben weren't very good at singing, and they couldn't remember the words of the songs. Before long, the trucks were causing all sorts of trouble for them. Bill and Ben realized they would never be able to pull as many trucks as Salty. Later that day, the Fat Controller came to the quarry. He was surprised to see that his job had been finished.
"Well done," he said to the engines. "You have worked very hard indeed."
"We could never have done it without Salty," said Mavis.
"Now, I've got an even bigger job for you, Salty," said the Fat Controller.
"Aye, aye, sir," said Salty sadly.
"What kind of quarry is it this time?" "Quarry?"
said the Fat Controller.
"I'm not sending you to a quarry. I want you to go work at Brendam Docks. The docks are right by the sea,"
said Salty excitedly.
"Oh, thank you, sir,"
said Salty.
"Now this reminds me of a time at the harbor."
And Salty was happily telling stories by the seas again. Salty is still working at Brendam Docks. He is very happy there because he can smell the sea air and watch all the ships sailing past. The engines on the Sodor Railway love working with Salty, and they all admire the fact that he can pull more trucks than any 3 other engines put together. The end!